Welcome to episode 6, SCCG track record. Today we're going to talk about esports and where that factors in to our history involved, not only in brick and mortar gaming, but innovations in content and technology around gambling and gamification. Esports figures in prominently. I remember sitting around in 2008, 2009. We had just had the equivalent of a depression in the economy, both in Las Vegas and in general in the world. It was the real estate depression. It was a time where it seemed like everything had stood still, stopped in its tracks. And I noticed at that time that I was receiving calls and inquiries, mostly through LinkedIn, through WhatsApp channels, and most of it was from young people involved in video gaming, in esports, who were looking for ways to tap into the gambling industry and cross-fertilize between esports, gamification, gambling, and what we know as a regulated industry that we participate in. I didn't know much about video gaming. I didn't grow up as a video gamer. I am not one to this day. I didn't understand what esports was, and so from 2009 to 2012, with not much happening in the gambling community, both in terms of the US and emerging markets, I decided to go out and learn a new industry, esports. And I remember going to Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. I remember going to E3 in Los Angeles and seeing thousands of people congregate around the latest video game titles. And I met with esports teams from Germany, from Europe, from Sweden, Scandinavia. I talked to people who were filming reality series from gamer houses, people who were looking for sponsorship opportunities with the gambling industry. I just basically listened. I was on a listening tour. And over the course of several years, I became somewhat of an expert in the ecosystem that was esports. I tended at that time to focus in a few areas. One area was on peer-to-peer wagering within esports. So skill-based gaming, what I considered to be skill-based gaming, and the ability to match people of the same skill level in a peer-to-peer contest around a certain video game content, whether it be League of Legends type role-playing game, whether it be some type of a Madden football, whatever the content was, creating some type of either team or peer-to-peer competition and allowing for the wagering on that. That led us early on to an investment in a company called GamerWager out of Manchester, UK. We invested in media companies that were focused on esports content. We invested in team organizations. One was Penta from Germany. That was a major team at that time, playing different League of Legends, Dota, different categorized esports. And I began to really focus on the intersection between esports and the gambling industry. I was able to attract capital to invest, and successfully we deployed that capital, tens of millions of dollars of both personal capital and third-party resources, into companies around the world that were trying to create new revenue streams from video gaming. When things started, the normal way to make money was to sell a software subscription, a key, and by getting that key, you might have, in addition to that, some in-app purchases, so that would be a revenue stream. And what we learned from looking at the intersection between the gambling industry and gamification and esports is that we could create other more vibrant revenue streams, whether it was betting on esports, whether it was peer-to-peer competition on esports, whether it was creating gamification around the elements of esports in terms of taking those fan bases and creating ways for them to take advantage of that. There was the advent of loot boxes. There was all kinds of innovation at that time. I remember we connected first in 2014 with a company called Odin.gg, and over the years we saw that company grow to be one of the leading esports data providers for the purpose of esports betting. During COVID, when people couldn't go to live sporting events, esports became a very popular alternative for people who like to bet on sports to bet on esports competition. So I've noticed that what started out was with people coming to me and a new topic to learn became something that we became subject matter experts in. And then what we tried to do is just apply what we know in the gambling industry to what we liked about esports as a content genre. And to this day, we can sit back and look at several of our successes, whether it be the sports data, whether it be the peer-to-peer competition, whether it be content and communities, and the best is yet to come. I do believe that as we move more and more into skill-based gaming, which we will, that esports will be top of the list as a form of skill-based gaming, that we can match people of similar skills and allow them to compete. We can create events and tournaments. We can see esports influencers, esports culture kind of bleed its way into the brick and mortar casino experience and the online casino experience. Because the reality is, people who started out as kids spending 5 hours a day on Twitch are now adults, young adults, spending a similar amount of time, maybe a little bit less as they've gotten older, on Twitch and other channels. So the content is popular, it's iconic and cultural, and so the gambling industry needs to reflect what is at work in the larger culture. And so I think we will continue to see our track record of success with esports play out in our evolution and track record of success in the larger gambling industry. Thank you for joining us on episode 6. It was great to speak about our track record of success with esports and esports existence within the larger gambling ecosystem. In episode 7, we talk about the era that we currently have been in and have been in for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, which is iGaming and sports betting technology. Obviously, that's an era that's going to continue with us for decades to come, and we'll look forward to discussing that with you in episode 7. Thank you for joining us for episode 6.